Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath, and today we're going to jump right into it. I always have themes that come up when I'm working with clients, and today the theme was dun dun dun, the third party, the return of the ex, the person that they can't get out of their life. Now, I get to work with this in a myriad of different ways. I've had it happen in my life. I've also had it happen regarding the energy of clients and seeing it happen in that way. I've seen it happen from the heterosexual perspective, from the homosexual perspective, lesbian perspective, bisexual, polyamorous. I have seen this dynamic play out in every conceivable fashion and way. And a lot of the times, what will happen, and what I noticed as a theme with the clients today, is that there was this energy of like, oh my gosh, this person is back, or there is a third party. Sometimes it's a non sexual third party. I had one client specifically who is dating a guy, and the guy has a best friend who's a narcissist. So they're two men, and she is a woman. And the third party narcissist wants ultimate control, a la hashtag narcissism. Y'all know the story, tale as old as time, and definitely drove a major wedge. And I've been walking her through that in the last couple months and understanding the pathology and also understanding how her boyfriend was going to have to kind of wake up, even causing a breakup. So third parties are not always a sexual, you cheated, workplace affair, XYZ, all the typical cliched things. They're not always that. They could be a friend that doesn't like another friend, and that could be a third party wedge. Some of you guys have had those dynamics. I've chatted with you about that regarding best friendships breaking up and whatever. I certainly have had that experience. Sometimes it is a lover, sometimes it is a partner that cheats, sometimes if you're in a marriage, man married to a woman, and there's a third woman that enters in, or vice versa, reverse it, flip it and reverse it, man married to a woman, and then there's a man that enters in. I have counseled everybody across the whole spectrum here regarding how third parties can interfere. Sometimes a third party can be your family member, or a favorite cousin, a mother that's overbearing and doesn't have boundaries, that's codependent. Maybe there's some issues latent of codependency with you. But what I often get is like the third party comes in, and it's like the other person's like, I can't fight this, I can't battle this, I can't win against this. And I definitely was given to that fatalistic thinking myself. And then I realized what a blessing the third party was in one of my situations, and you guys have heard me talk about it ad nauseum. Thank you for your patience. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it was a way for me to get free from the toxicity that was rampant in the connection that I was refusing to see. Because out of loyalty, what will we do, guys? We'll stay involved, we'll stay engaged, and we will not disembark or kind of create a new life for ourselves that we really deserve because we think that we need to be in the fight. And this is why the third parties work so well, and why they're so toxic, and why I say walk away, and why I want you to start to look at this differently. Instead of it being like an ultimate fatality doled out to you, see it as an ultimate win, because your angels are saying when a third party comes in, and if that person is having a hard time choosing or putting up healthy boundaries or saying no, this is my person, and backing it up, they're saying that person is choosing that. But your angels are saying you get a victory, you get your dreams to come true, you get exactly what is owed to you and what is deserved to you, and it's not to be in this toxicity. So I want us to flip that on its head and maybe look at it in a new way, because it was something that I definitely did myself, but it's something I've been able to counsel some clients through that are like, no, 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 you don't understand. This isn't fair. That third party is there because that person is still tethered and has unfinished business. And listen, all of us are tethered to a certain degree. Soul ties exist for a reason. The golden thread, that's why they say there's cord cutting to be done, because we do form emotional bonds and cords with people, whether they're highly toxic or highly divine. It doesn't matter. If we spend time with them and we're immersed with them, if we're sexual with them, if it's a sexual thing, or if we're taking advice from them, if it's a family member or a friend, we are developing cords with them. And sometimes it's very hard to cut those. And so I don't want you to think that you are losing something, because I certainly again have been given to that thinking in past, and then I realized how beautiful what I got was, and how it was exactly what I needed in order to be free. I want you to look at it differently, guys. Look at it differently. Now, I pay attention to patterns with clients and with myself. A lot of the beautiful blessings I've walked into in my life are because I paid attention to the patterning that was happening and unfolding before me. So someone else's bad behavior, I would take a look at it, I would examine it, I put it under the petri dish, like the excrement and germs and nonsense it was, and I would look in the microscope and I'd see, how can I do this differently? I'm that kind of learner. Everybody learns differently. Some people have to run their head into the brick wall. That's not me. I'll learn from watching somebody else. And so I definitely pay attention to that, what is needed in that third party energy and dynamic. What I mean by that is, if someone's introducing a third party, or they can't sack up, as I like to say, they can't like man up or woman up and be like, oh, back away, back off, there's something fundamentally going on with them that they need. So they feel like the third party is able to provide that. So whether it's a mother, if you're dating a mama's boy or a mama's girl, or whatever the case may be, or someone is got a new friendship group and they think that they're supreme and they're putting them over you, or you're seeing you're in a marriage and your person is like, I'm outsourcing because this feels good to me and I'm getting what I need over here. A need's being filled, and you need to understand the pathology of what's happening there and the psychology of it. A need is getting filled. Pathology specifically, if we're dealing with the parental units, especially, but from a psychological perspective, whatever that third party is providing is something that they think that you cannot, or that you're not, or they're comparing it, right? Don't put yourself in that. The reason I was going to say this, and I've meandered, but third parties work so well to absolutely destroy from the inside out, is because we're all primal and competitive. It is something we are innately done, or excuse me, it's something we all innately are given to, right? We are primal and competitive, and people will triangulate you, and sometimes they're not even meaning to do it. It's just something that they've always done. So if you've always spoken English and it's something you've always done, could you learn a second language? Of course you could learn another one, but you have to put dedicated effort into it. And we are so used to existing in our toxicity in the society that we're not putting dedicated effort into learning a new way to be, and we're not calling people out on things. And I definitely have had the opportunity recently to work in situations like that with these clients, and also within my own personal life, where I was able to use my voice and be like, hey, this does or doesn't feel right for me, because I'm not going to tolerate this situation with a third party. I don't care if it's a phantom third party, a ghost third party, a real third party. What you're not going to do is have me feeling any kind of way, because I understand that you think you're getting something fantastic and great from the third party, and I know exactly what it is. Now, here's where I'm going to take it and elevate this for all of us here, okay? It's not just like, well, the grass isn't greener, da 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 da. That's where we've left it regarding the psychology of the third party. It's been like, well, the grass isn't greener. They'll see one day. Sure, yes, that's also true. But what about you, Earth Angel? What about you, Divine Feminine? What about you, Empath? What does that third party do for you? Well, you say, well, Monette, they don't do anything for me. They've caused me anxiety. They've caused me sleepless nights. They've caused me to lose my person, whatever capacity and amalgamation of relationship you had. Yes, but it's not all bad. Let me explain. That third party is a warning for you. That third party is a harbinger of direct communication that this person isn't for you, because someone that is for you isn't triangulating you and trying to make you feel less than. That doesn't mean other people don't come into our life and whatever. I have a set of two really strong friends in my life. I have a bestie and I have a best friend, yeah? And they have different names. And I have more frequency with my bestie. You guys have heard me talk about her profusely, right? And I have a best friend who's like a bulldog. She shows up in my life. She's weird as I am in different ways, anxiety laden and absolutely antisocial. And she's listening, and she knows that I told her I was going to talk about this in tonight's lesson. So she knows that. So she might be cutting carrots in her heart and crying in her soul. And let me explain what that means. I could be in town where she is and be like, hey girl, hey, I'm gonna pop over, I have a whatever. That's not the relationship we have. If she needs her time and space, she's gonna take it. The same for me. We don't always spend ultimate time in each other's energy, but when it's needed, my God, does she come in and set me free. And she is amazing with me, and she's able to cut through the quick of things. She has a fantastic discernment regarding seeing people's real personalities. If I'm being a little sweet empath ready to be snacked, she always has my back, and she has it quickly. She serves an incredible purpose in my life, right? But it's different than bestie. Yeah, same incredible purpose, even better. Love it so much. I could say so many things. But these are two women. Now, what I won't do and what I didn't do and what I was very conscientious not to do was to make sure one, you guys have heard me say, make new friends, keep the old one is silver and the other is gold. That's a Girl Scout song I sang for 9 years at the beginning of every single meeting. I do not triangulate these two against each other. Even if I felt like there was any issues, any jealousies, or any things that could overlap, I went out of my way, because what are we as empaths to a fault, guys? We're compassionate, yes? I went out of my way to make sure that this one knew her place and this one knew her place, and that if they were in each other's space, that they were both going to be respected and they didn't have to be snarly or competitive. Even if one was given, the bulldog is more given to that energy, period, regarding me. That's just her way. But what I will tell you is that I made it absolutely safe for her and worked with her for years until she got out of her fears, insecurities, and whatever. I did not pit them against each other because I didn't need to. That's because I am secure in the relationship that they provide me, and I'm secure in what I provide them. But people that are not in that place of security will use that to get energy, and they will energy vampire you. So they will suck your energy and they will have you try to play into some toxic third dynamic. Both of these women serve incredible purposes in my life and I in theirs, So and they all have other friendships as well. Do you understand? We all are grown women, so we have multiple friendships. So we have to figure out where we fit. Everyone cannot be triangulated, and they're not supposed to be. So that's an example of a healthy dynamic where there's three, right? Now, let's talk about the unhealthy. When they're trying to pull from you energetically and they want to see you kind of fight over them. That's someone that's immature and someone you need to run from. And I don't care if it's your mother that's 73. I counsel people that have not grown out of this nonsense, that are fighting in nursing homes over their booskies, okay? It doesn't leave us if we don't work on it. What did I say about that first language, right? So if manipulation, triangulation tactics are your first language, it's going to take a Herculean effort for you to develop a new skill set and language and interaction, and in procedure of interaction. So when the third party appears, let's go back to that part, and you're like, oh my God, this is all of my fears. It's my worst nightmare. Look at it as a blessing and an escape. Even in my life, after I dealt with the most toxic situation, I had other things that came into my life for me. And when the third party appeared, and if the person took the bait, listen, pay attention to this, guys. This is so good for my divine feminines regarding romantic relationships, or maybe bestie or interpersonal relationships. If the third, let's say, okay, let me give you an example of a client I was working on. I had a client that was dealing with somebody new. Okay, they were dealing with somebody new. They were totally like, Carrie Hilson, when love knocks you down. They were feeling all their feels, right? And they knew that the person had an attachment, a meandering, not really well cared for. They knew that the other person was not as invested as the person maybe they were talking to, but they still were like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to do me. They're going to do them. All is going to be well. And then the third party reappears after a pretty intense, let's say, quote unquote, courtship, right? So after a pretty intense courtship, the third party reappears. If the person, my client, takes the bait of that, if my client's person took the bait, and they did, then I was counseling them, this person is not for you. The reason that this happened, it doesn't mean that you have to like throw them away and never talk to them or be rude. It means that you protect your energy. The reason that I'm saying this to you guys is because it's something we don't pay attention. We're always getting synchronicities and communications. And a lot of us don't pay attention to that, to the little nuances and shifts. And we think the third party means we need to fight for it. No. And I absolutely advised her. And in my own situation, very similar, I did not fight for it. I was like, that's fascinating. You want to have this experience. And I also, as a practitioner, see above it. Some people are, well, many of people that we encounter are soulmates. Soulmates are not people you stay with forever. They're teachers, and they give you lessons. Sometimes you're lucky, but it's such a minuscule percentage of you guys that will stay with your soulmates for the rest of your lives. There will be new people that come in when you have new lessons to learn, okay? And they will be prominent and they will dominate for a while. And then when the lesson is learned, that lesson gets overturned and you move on to the next thing. So if a third party re-enters, an ex can't get, like a new person you're talking to still hasn't like discarded the ex properly, they're still holding out hope, the ex is still pulling the strings and you're watching it and you're like, this is crazy, then that's just a warning to you. And in so many instances in my life, it saved me when I've had that occur, where I've been able to be like, you're not done with him or her, And what I'm going to do is back out quietly. I'm going to show myself the door because they had something to learn and it was greater, it was more. And you think, well, no, see, this is where our ego gets involved. Well, no, how could their lesson be greater? But we love each other, but we care about each other. We're infatuated, or whatever your situation is. I wish I could put my practitioner hat on all of you guys. The fact is, it simply is. If they choose the third party, even in an energetic tete-a-tete, like a back and forth, or if they're like, you know what, I'm going to entertain this once more, and they start treating you differently, you deal with it expeditiously. Y'all haven't heard me say that in a minute. You deal with it expeditiously. You don't wait for 3 months until you're super in your fifis and you just can't even manage it anymore. You call it out immediately. You watch them and see if they're going to ignore you. You call it out again. You know what I say about the rule of three. The third time, it's not a call out. The third time, you leave, period. No negotiations, because what you will do is allow someone to treat you badly, differently, and triangulate you so they can extract your precious empath energy. I know what a delight I am. Y'all, I know exactly who I am and what my energy provides. And I know that even me being in someone's life is good luck, and that if they want to, and they are smart enough to do it, they can siphon my energy to bring in whatever third party they want if they feel like they have something else that might fulfill them into another level or degree. And so what I do and what I've told you is remove the energy. And that's why I advise my clients today, just remove your energy. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to say, I don't want to play, I hate you. You just stop dealing with them high key, low key, and you just let it be. And then let them work out whatever magical lesson it is they had with their party. And I'm not saying magical as sarcasm. I'm telling you, they had a lesson to learn with that third party. And maybe it was to be fully immersed in the kind of toxicity that they dole out. Maybe it was to have their heart absolutely obliterated and shattered when they realize that that person's never going to deal with them for real. But when someone is connecting with you and you guys have a real deal moment and you're on a run and then there's a fracture in the energy, so many of us will talk ourselves out of the truth of what it is. And my angels always allow me to walk through having things happen where I get to feel it personally so that I can teach you and tell you, do not second guess yourself. It's happening. If you feel that there's a break and a schism, it's happening. If you feel like someone is full of shit, they are. Don't second guess it. We as women especially have been taught to suppress our emotions, our feelings, and our understandings about the thing, a world around us. Even for my masculine empaths and everything here, you have been taught to kind of like be the caretaker and the saver and suppress when you know that something's off. In my life, I've had situations, especially in the last couple of years, after I disembarked from a very toxic third party situation, that I was like, oh, I can't be part of this, where God's tested me. He's brought new people in with the same wounding. And he was so specific, y'all. I had one that was super fun. Super, super fun. And I'm going to tell you, it was fun because it was exhilarating and magical and all of the things. But beyond that, the third party happened to be the same sign. For those of you guys that know, I do readings and all of that stuff. So the third party happened to be the same sign as the third party of the really toxic connection that I was in. It wasn't the same sign as my person, but the third party was the same sign as the other third party. So these are the synchronicities that I'm talking about paying attention to. And that's how I knew that person wasn't for me. I downshifted it and I was like, oh, this, meaning energetically, you can't be a friend, you can't be a whatever. Like, I get it. I understand that this is actually something that came in as a lesson to test me and see, had I really healed, was I really paying attention, and was I really willing to set myself free. You can't make this stuff up. When a new third party, even though it wasn't exactly playing out in the same way, but when a new third party ends up being the same sign as the other third party, what you're getting are karmic spiritual lessons. Don't miss that. So only you know what's going on in your life, and only you know the signs and symbologies of the people around you. And I'm not saying you need to know that in order to get through it, but there will be other symbol signs and messages that are synchronistic, and you'll get it. And so instead of hitting my head against the wall, instead of falling in friend magic and yummy juiciness and deciding that, like, okay, it's worth it. No, I was like, this isn't for me because this, I don't give it, I didn't care what the other person said to me, how sweet their words were, and they were good with their words. I didn't care what they said. Nothing they could say could get me to be anchored in to the bullshit because I knew it was bullshit. And I called them on it right away. I used all my words. They joke with me about dissertations. It was really funny. And I was like, no, you're full of shit. And then I just disconnected energetically. Doesn't mean that I didn't care about them, didn't talk to them, didn't think that they were a nice person, didn't think that they had something wonderful to offer. But what I did know is that I was not going to let someone convince me to go through another hellscape round of what I went through. And fortunately, I wasn't as near as invested as I was in the other connection. But what I will tell you is I learned my lesson. That third party came in as an absolute blessing because it let me know you are so not done here and you're very unhealthy and you're very entrenched still in whatever this is. And I was a blessing and an earth angel that came in and you missed it. Don't give people too many chances to miss you. And many of us in our past have done that, right? We have given people time and time and time again to try to get it right, and they didn't care. And it ended up actually resenting us and disrespecting us. And y'all know my motto, put some respect on my name. Birdman said it best with all of his craziness and all of his finesse. But the truth came out of his mouth. As they say, a broken clock can be wrong twice a day. And if God wants a message out, he'll put it out of the mule of a donkey. Birdman is a jackass if ever there was. However, the message stands strong. Put some respect on my name. So please have people put some respect on your name. Please understand that people need to actually treat you like you're not insane. Don't let people gaslight you. When they are, call them out right to their face. You're gaslighting me, homie. I see you. And I'm not going to save space to be gaslit again. The fortunate part about going through a lot of narcissistic abuse, I never thought I'd say those words, but it's true, is that you are adept at seeing moments of toxicity entering in any connection, even if they're not a full-blown narcissist or whatever the case may be. They're not a full sociopath like your exes, your besties, your whatever that you've broken up with in the past. What they are is another endeavor. And your angel said, to the lesson last, you get it. So when that third party comes in, instead of being like, oh, fatality, I've lost again. And trust me, guys, I've been there. And my clients have been there. I start to say this to you. I submit it to you. And it is the truth. They are absolutely a blessing for you. So when that third party came in, that was the same exact sign as my other third party. And I thought, I get it now. I don't have to take 20 years to figure this out to see if you're going to choose this. You are going to choose it because what other way would you go? Now, let's talk about what they lose when they choose it, right? They lose whatever blessings you are. Y'all know what kind of blessings you are when you're in somebody's life. I know when I care about someone, if they're a friend, if they're a lover, if they're a husband or a wife, the way that I show up in their life. It will be astounding. It's breathtaking. I know who I am. Know your power, guys. You don't have to tell everybody that. I tell you that here. We talk a little shit here, but this is about empowerment. That's what we're doing, sweetie. That's what we're doing, divine feminine. That's what we're doing, divine masculine. You need to know to pop your collar a little bit. Put some respect on your own name, because until you do it, no one else is going to do it for you. And they will try to treat you like you're crazy. And they'll try to treat you like you don't understand the assignment, baby. And you absolutely do. So I know the way that I love people. So if the third party or a third party comes through, I'm like, bet. That's what you need to do then. I don't second chance them. I don't reflect on them. I don't know who said this. I don't chase them. I replace them. And that's not to be cavalier, but it's to say you can have anybody you want energetically near. We forget that because we get really caught in and hooked in. Ooh, that hook word has been a big lesson for me. My angels, when I get lessons, they give it through me in dreams. I've had a lot of dreams that had to do with undersea themes. And then I was talking to the bulldog when I was talking to best friend, not bestie, and best friend was passing a sign the other day, and she was like, oh, this said da da da. It was so funny. You're off the hook. And I was like, yeah, I am. And I'm floating away. Here's the thing about this, though, or I have been off the hook and I have floated away. It's what I should say more appropriately. Don't take the advent of the third party as the most horrible thing and a sign that the universe just hates you and wants you to lose. I see third parties now as that person that I may be thinking is a worthy person. It's an opportunity for them to choose. And if they choose them, then they get to be in that forever. Whatever misery may come or whatever happiness, because guys, it's not all misery. A lot of us like to think that like they're miserable over there. Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes, I guess, I don't care. That's the part I want you to get to, is the I don't care part. I can't tell you how many readings I do for people that want to check in on what's going on over in the other connection. I never look. I'm so resolute and absolute about I'm off the hook. When I feel like my angels let me off the hook, I don't look back. I'm not trying to read for you. I'm not trying to see it for you. I don't know. Because here's the thing. I get a heads up and a premonition like a lot of you guys do. A lot of you guys can probably predict how a third party will go. If someone is a mama's boy and they choose their mom over you, how's that going to end for them eventually? With resentment to their mom and Norman Bates. I'm not saying they have to be fully Norman Bates, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? They're eventually going to resent the freak out of that parent unit, bestie, whoever decided to turn them, quote unquote, turn them against you, because no one can turn anybody against you. That's for you. If someone's for you, they're for you. They're going to stand for you 10 toes down. If they're not, they can easily be turned around. But when they get over to wherever they said that the grass was greener to, eventually they will come to their own realization. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about the third party and you. Whatever lesson that that person needed to learn, they will absolutely learn it. The sooner you leave is the sooner they get to it, though. And it doesn't mean that they always come back, so don't leave thinking that they're going to chase. Because after I deal with someone who chooses a third person over me, then they're out of the race. Period. It's not the tortoise and the hare. It's nowhere there. It's I don't see you. It's Slender Man. It's Ghost. I don't know you anymore after that, because you did the most. But you're allowed to. We have free will. No one has to stay with you. No one has to choose you. No one has to stand up for you. Now, here's another lesson of the third party that I've got to flip into positivity for me. I watched people do wild stuff in third party situations, and when I had the opportunity in my own third party situation, meaning whether it was unbeknownst to me, it came in. I didn't like ask for it, but it was certainly manifested. I believe out of me needing to clean up the karma of that past thing. I did exactly the opposite of what the other person did. So if you're in a position where someone's trying to make you choose someone over another, whether it's your partner, your spouse, your friend, your mom, whatever, but you have loyalty to the person you have loyalty to, even if you don't like them, because sometimes we'll be loyal to people we don't like, but we understand that it might be right. So that's another nuanced thing that you'll have to explore. Then stand up. I got to have the exact same experience that my fuck up ex friend had. I got to have it in the exact same ways. Every single feeling, from all the juicy to all the obsessive to all the things. Yeah. And I made better choices at every single turn. And I'm not just saying that to be like, I'm so amazing. It was hard because I was fully immersed in my feelings. And it reminds me biblically of what Jesus came here to do, which was to have experiences just like me and you, and then like not indulge, so that we can know that it's possible for a human to not indulge. I'm nobody's Jesus, y'all. I have no cross or heaven or hell to push you in, no cross to hang you on. But what I'm going to tell you is I got to see the parallels of why that third party dynamic happened the way it did. It also helped me work through layers of forgiveness, because when you feel a thing, you look at someone with more compassion. And until I felt that, I wasn't going to have the compassion. So even for me, that was a healing opportunity for the third party situation. And when I say third party, again, for me, completely simple, completely platonic, but still, I got to see it in the eyes of a different lens. And I was like, oh, this is what she was going through completely. Like I knew it as an intuitive and as a practitioner, but to be immersed in it, I got it. Except I didn't choose the D-bag way every time like she did. I actually stood up. I actually protected. I actually put boundaries. I actually stopped it. I actually paid attention. I asked for signs. I listened to my dreams. I listened to the communication that spirit gave me instead of being swept away into toxicity and crazy. I decided I wasn't going to play that game. So I, again, am a person that learns from the lessons. I want you to do the same. So there's a lot of information about third parties here, but they're not always a pit of despair. For me, I see it as I'm not supposed to be there. And what it means is that I don't invest my resources. I don't invest my time. I don't invest my money. I don't invest my good energy. I also pull my energy, pull your energy, guys, because just you in someone's life is going to make whatever third party situation they're trying to nurture go right. And let me give you an example. Before you being in their life in a real way, they weren't able to have any traction or forward motion. You start pouring into them, loving on them, giving them good energy. All of a sudden, the third party appears even more prominently. Have you guys noticed that this has happened? Even more prominently, here they are. They're in their face. They love them again, or they're friends again, or whatever the case is, whatever their dynamic, platonic, family, whatever. You put it where it works for you. And you're like, how did this happen? Well, it happened because of you, my empath. It happened because of you, Earth Angel. And that's something that I learned several years ago. And I was like, oh, I'll just pull myself out of this. You're welcome. If it's really meant to be, then you work on it. Then you make it exist. I'm not giving you any of my energy. You don't get to vampirize off of me. So even if you like the third party, and this is where our ego will fight us, because you may like not like the third party, but let's say you like the person that you're having the one-on-one with that's introduced the third party or allowed it. You're being tested. Do you like yourself more or them? And self-preservation is the first rule of nature. Yes? The first rule of nature is self-preservation. And as an empath, we don't know that. We're always trying to save everybody else, help everybody else, and make everybody else feel good. I know I can watch how I'll show up in someone's life and how something they can never get right or lock in is now all of a sudden locked in. And that doesn't mean that I take full credit for that. Maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe I was supposed to be in their life to do that work for a season so that they could get the thing they wanted. But then I retract my energy, because if it's supposed to be what they wanted and if it's supposed to be for them, then they need to be able to work on that themselves without my presence, without my energy. Don't overstay your welcome thinking that you're going to help set someone free from their third party. You might be there just to get them the third party, and then they have to figure out whatever kind of party it's going to be. I'm hearing Eddie Murphy, my girl likes to party all the time. Some of them will choose girls that like to party all the time. Some of them will choose guys that like to party all the time. Some of them will choose codependent parents that like to play with their mind. That's not your business. It's not your hill to climb, and it's not your hill to die on. So I say to you, my good sirs and ma'ams, retract your energy. Take back your hand of help, your empath synergy, and let them fend for themselves, and stop if you can, shift if you can, and elevate and ascend the way you look at that third party foe and turn them into maybe your best friend. I know it's hard to do, but I know it can be done because I did it. Again, no fruit baskets will be sent, but I'm grateful for the way that the third party came in. Because of the way that the person chose them, it was so easy for me to see how little they valued me. Also, how unwise they were. And that's not someone I wanted in my camp. They were operating out of incredible immaturity, and I was disappointed. That was years ago with the deep entrenched one, but as I've had several superficial dynamics like that, again, in the aftermath, so that I could be tested to see if I really got it, the same. I was like, oh, I didn't feel incredible disappointment because I wasn't as invested, but I definitely was like, I got it. The third party shall win again. Except I don't see it as a win, as in a loss for me. I see it as a saving, as of a headache for me. I see it as a saving of my financial resources, my emotional resources, and my wisdom resources. We operate in pure currency. We are an ATM empath. People will clean you out if they can, and they will use you and then look at you and then be like, why are you upset? And then laugh. It's not a joke. Take yourself seriously. Put some respect on your own name. If there is smoke, there will be fire. And if they have to have the third party's desire or energy or inquiries, then they will take them. But it has to be without you. Let that third party be the one that saves you. They think they're there to save them. Let them be the one that saves you. I can't tell you how much money I saved, I feel like Geico, by allowing the third party to quote unquote win. But when I got the one that was a Scorpio, like the last Scorpio situation, it was so clear to me, because I could have been I could have been caught up in the rapture of love, or caught up in the rapture of friendship, or caught up in the rapture of connection, caught up in the rapture of work partnership, actual connection. I will never allow that now, because I understand that with the advent of a third party, I could easily be taken out. And let me say what I mean by I could be taken out. If I were to not have paid attention to the signs that my angels gave me, and the signs that God was giving me, and the signs that that person themselves gave me about the third party, I could have involved myself in a whole row and a whole situation, right, a few years ago. And then again, when it came to me in different lessons after that, I could have been so not where I am today. Y'all, it's good. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. I'm not all the way up, but I'm on the way up. Moving on up, right? Feeling really good about some of the choices that I made. But what I will tell you is that had I not paid attention to the synchronicity of the last third party that was significant to the most recent one, and again, strictly platonic, but still, God is funny. God has a way of testing us, honey. And if I didn't pay attention, I was like, oh, that one's the same sign as this one, and this lesson is happening like this, and this is how they felt, and this is what I'm supposed to do. I had to reverse engineer that thing, and it saved me, and I wanted to save you. It saved me time, money, years of investment, years of so much stuff. And instead, I got to be like, enough. I was Jennifer Lopez. Now Affleck, right? Don't worry, guys. If you're so loving somebody, if it's meant to be, maybe that's a little interjection of the story. If someone is meant to be for you, 20 years elapsed, they can still come through. If they're actually your person, you'll figure it out. Look at Jen and Ben. They made it. They made it out. They are the small percentile of relationships. That was a real soulmate. They were meant to do that shit, and they did exactly what they were meant to do. Finally, right? We can all talk about Jennifer not healing and having codependency and relationship issues and Ben being an alcoholic and whatever. But my mother always says this: every stinking cheese has its wine, meaning you will find somebody that is right for you. I don't care if your baseline is misery. I've watched people that I've known in the past, their baseline was misery, jealousy, subterfuge, drama, third parties, all that stuff. And they found their exact right partner that gave them exactly the relationship they wanted. I was actually happy for them because I understand as that my mom's wisdom stands correct. Everybody finds the right person for them. Look at Jen and Ben. They found each other again. And they had third party dynamics. And let me explain this. Oh, thank you, angels. I never know why I say things, but my angels always say there's a reason. The third party dynamic in that situation was Matt Damon. Matt Damon did not like Jennifer Lopez for Ben Affleck. And y'all, this is so good. Thank you, angels. Let me teach you this moment real quick. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with third parties. Matt Damon did not like Jennifer Lopez. He thought she was too flashy. He thought she was too dangerous. Remember 20 years ago, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were coming up together. They had done Good Will Hunting, made a bunch of movies, this like dynamic duo from Jersey or wherever they're from, coming up and like making a scene, Boston, excuse me, making a scene and like on the movies and whatever the case may be. And they were like up and coming. And Matt Damon is a very focused sign and energy. He's also a conservative. Okay. I don't know his sign specifically. I think that Ben Affleck is a Leo, if I'm not correct. So it's very interesting to see two Leos together, but I will double check on that. But what I will say, and Belinda, if you're here, I know you're going to correct me, but Matt Damon is a very stodgy, kind of like more methodical sign, if I'm correct. He didn't like J-Lo because she was all the things that she was. J-Lo's always been those things. And he thought maybe a flash in the pan. He thought Ben was too obsessed with her jiggly butt and her magical self and her sparkly energy and whatever. And he thought it was a disaster. So the third party, so this is what I mean, it's not always a sexual third party, y'all. The third party that was the deleterious defector in that relationship was Matt Damon. It's period.com. There's research on it. Maybe I'll find an article and put it up from back in the day. So that was the one that was in Matt was in Ben's ear. And this is a thing. Friends can really mess you up. I've made another video here. Don't let someone else determine the trajectory of your love. That's one of my most recent videos. Don't let someone determine the trajectory of your love. Matt Damon was in Ben Affleck's ear. Matt is far more conservative than Ben. He couldn't understand the decision his friend was making. But Ben's allegiance was to his good old friend Matt. And they still love each other to this day. But what did Ben find himself doing? Choosing the nice girl that Matt did approve of, which was Jennifer Garner. And I love Jennifer Garner. I have no hate. I think that they had a soulmate assignment to bring those kids in. I could go on and on for days about the fact that served its purpose, but I'm going to tell you, he drank himself into a bottle because he couldn't, and he was drinking before then. He was partying. He was going down a not good path that has nothing to do with Jennifer. I'm never going to allow him to put that blame on her. I was disgusted by his comments. But what I will say is this, because he had alcoholism before then. Jennifer Lopez was dealing with it prior to Garner dealing with it. So this is Ben Affleck's issue, period, which is escapism and codependency to a certain degree, which is why he and Jennifer married and marry each other and mirror each other so well. See what I mean? Every stinking cheese has its wine. She's a love addict. He's an addict. You get it? Yahtzee. It works for them. But they spent 20 years marrying and dating and having other assignments with other soulmates only to be freaking miserable in all of those connections, longing for the person. The second they were both out of their real other assignments, right? They found their way back to each other. And this time, well, we'll see. Is it for a happily ever after or for closure, completion, or whatever? Maybe it is there forever. But what I will say is the third party had an opinion that took Ben off the path, and then the universe will always bring other people for you to connect with and say, okay, well, that didn't work. Well, let's try this. Because you have to learn your lessons while you're here on this earth. We're not here to just like waste time. We're here to do the work. And he had to do the work. That was 37:37 on the clock when I said that. So look up what that angel number is. And I think it may have something to do with what we're talking about tonight. But what I will tell you is this. We have to do the work. But he let his friend, he wasn't sleeping with Matt. He was just his broski. But Matt had a heavy hand in the breakup of him and Jennifer all those years ago. Yeah? His alcoholism, his recklessness, Jennifer being untamable as far as Matt could see. A friend that doesn't know your destiny. And what I thought was so funny was there was articles written recently where they're like, well, Matt Damon was, summering in the coast of Amalfi. He was off the Amalfi coast in Italy or wherever he was, while Ben and Jen were doing their like tacky, amazing, fun Vegas wedding, because that's what they always wanted to do, because they had found each other again and they promised to make the promises come true. Matt wasn't there. because he should have never been in the first place. Keep people out of your damn business, y'all, so that you can save face. And if someone introduces a third party and they take that third party, do you want to be Ben and Jen waiting 20 years? And yes, they had other moments and happiness and loves and experiences, but can you see how easy they are with each other? It's because it's where they were supposed to be the whole time. Don't let someone mess you up and take you out of alignment with your person because they have an opinion. And that's also why when a third party enters in, I will step out because I think it might be about you two, and I could be absolutely wrong. And I knew I was. In that situation, I absolutely got exactly the connection I was looking for. I got exactly the kind of friendship I was seeking that that person could have never provided me. And they got exactly the carnality they were seeking that I was never going to provide them because I didn't trust them. They were not trustworthy. Put some respect on your own name. Know who you are. And know if you're staying in a relationship, in a third party dynamic in vain because you want to prove something. Let me shake something. Let me prove something. No. When I walk through, I'm hearing that. Yeah, I got drip too. I got sauce too. When you walk through, you don't have to prove anything. The person that loves you and that adores you and is going to think you're the best thing that's ever happened to them exists out there for you. You don't have to fight somebody else for them. When I see another person come in, I bounce. Bounce. I recommend my clients bounce. And when they do, they call me back later, guys, and they tell me, you were right. I found the next person. The next soulmate assignment came in, and I don't look crazy. And I didn't fight for some drama that I don't even want now. Upon reflection of any third party dynamic, you'll find that it wasn't right for you. If that other person can come in and trump your energy and interfere and take over whatever you thought was yours or where you thought you should have been there or you should have been had an in and had a win, then that person wasn't for you, my friend. See it sooner. Tell the truth to yourself faster. If they are even swayed. And I tell you, in the last couple of years, I had an opportunity to have a moment where someone treated me very differently upon the entrance of a third party dynamic. Even though it was platonic in our connection, they treated me very differently. And I immediately switched it. I called them on it that same day. Okay? That same day. I said, you're on some F-ish. I see you. It's cool, but you still have work to do over there. So I'll see myself to the door. I don't play games with people anymore. I don't even wait. They were shocked by it, probably. They thought I was kidding, maybe, but they now see I was absolutely telling the truth. And that's not the toxic one from a few years ago. You will get repeated lessons to see what you're going to do. Do you get it? I got it. If a third party comes around, it's not there just to be mean to you. It's there to see how much you love you. It's there to test your self-efficacy. Are you still desperate? Are you still relishing and rolling around in your codependency? Sorry, empath. Chalk, Mr. Chalk, you hit me up. I'm not talking about you today, but I said something about what we do in a past video, and he was like, "You're not right, but you're not wrong." He said something to that effect. He's like, "I see you tried it," but yeah, don't be mad. I try it. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to try it with you because I tried it with myself, and people have tried it with me too. And no more me too's, right? No more being a victim. No more of us like laying down. When a third party comes in, you're about to be a victim. Because if someone lets a third party in, guess what they want? The problems. They want the energy. They want the jealousy. They're low vibrational. They're immature. They want you to fight without impunity. They want you to be ridiculous. They want there to be no jurisdictions or boundaries. They want you to feel away. Fuck them. That's what I say, and I live it. I don't just say it. I will remove, if I had an inclination to bless somebody financially, this happened to me in the last couple of years, and they introduced a third party dynamic, again, platonic. I removed all of that. I was like, you get nothing. It was like at the end of Willy Wonka, where Charlie's like, but I made it through, Mr. Wonka. And he was like, you touched the fizzy lifting bubbles. You touched the side of the walls. We had to spend hours cleaning it down. You get nothing. You could be the biggest angel in someone's life, about to bring them into the most prosperity, the most love, the most connection they've ever had in their life. But if they violate the rules, and even if they don't think there are rules, baby, there are always rules, then you are Mr. Willy Wonka at the end of it, and they get nothing. Don't bend it. Don't retract it, and don't let them sweet talk you. They were about to get everything. The whole kit and caboodle, the whole factory, the whole entrance, the abundance, infinitely, whatever that may be, whatever you would have to provide. But if they break the rules, then they can only run and hide because they get nothing. At the end of that, Charlie still does the right thing by giving back the everlasting gobstopper, right? If you guys know the movie, you know. And that's when Mr. Willy Wonka's heart melts and he says, I always knew you would do the right thing. It would be so. So let's talk about the clauses, right? At the beginning of the movie, they talk about an indemnity clause that's signed regarding waivers and what can happen in their time in the factory. Let's talk about the clause at the end for any third party. Sometimes someone will go towards somebody else that they think is right for them. And upon being there, they have a certain time frame to understand what the right thing to do is. Sometimes people do have to make a decision. Sometimes they do have to choose, and grace has to be allowed to that degree. It doesn't mean you have to be officially Miss Gracie. Does that make sense? Again, you have no heaven or hell to put them in. It's a decision they have to make, but there is a time frame, for goodness sake. If Charlie would have left that factory with that gobstopper and then wanted to come back a week later and say, but Mr. Wonka, I couldn't sit with this on my heart. I want to give this to you. The window would have been shut. It was something he had to do in the moment, momentarily. He had to make the right choice. He had to ascend, and he had to do it quickly. Stop giving people 20, 30, 40, 50 years, times, tries, opportunities to choose you. A choice about the right thing to do is made quickly. And if they're not choosing you, it's because they're not sure about whatever opportunities reside with the third party. And that's where their heart really lies. They can miss you, but they will miss you for the rest of their lives. There is a small window to have an earth angel like you in their life. There is a small window to secure the bag with an empath who will make sure that their bag is always secured. There is a small window to make sure that they are never ignored, that their coffers are full, that they are loved and filled, replenished, and that they're doing the same for you, that there is an existence of reciprocity, or they can sign the indemnity clause where the fine print is everlasting misery. And not just because they're with the third party, but because in the absence of you, it is exactly what the universe will do. There was a choice to make, for goodness sake. And they did not have infinite time to take. Don't let that clock keep running. If they are playing games, it will not be you that ends up with the sunning. Sunning is a rap word. It's colloquial to sun somebody. You've heard Nicki Minaj say it, all these bitches is my sons. All these bitches are my sons. Let's talk about that. The universe will sun them, meaning treat them like the child that they are. If they couldn't grow up in time to make the decision, if they wanted to operate out of immaturity, the universe will rock them to sleep like a baby with their blanket of misery, whatever that third party is. For 20 years, we watched the light drain out of Ben Affleck's eyes because he missed the opportunity the first time around with his Comet and his Rocket, his J-Lo, now Jen Affleck. That's real love. This whole time, she's been married to 50, 11 people. Dated everybody in the business. Never changed her name. That's how you know that they are one and the same. It was meant to be. She said, I'm going to give you this, baby, because I always wanted to give this to you. Sometimes people will come around, right? You'll get another chance to do what you do. But the window had to close. She didn't just sit there and wait for him. And that's what I'm telling you, Divine Feminist. She dated everybody. She slept with everybody she wanted to. She dated everybody from Drake to Mark Anthony to you name it, to Casper, the Friendly Ghost. She dated them all. And she did it the best way. She was living her best life every single time. But deep in her soul, there was a hole for the person that was her person. And they found their way back to each other. It's a nice story. But she did not lay her life down in perpetuity until Ben could get his ish together to find her way back to she. Stop waiting for these crazy people that want to put you in third parties. Go out, date, live your life, flirt, have a blast, make new besties, make new friends, best friends, bulldogs, whatever you want to call them. Have new lovers, have new interactions, but do it on your terms. And if they want to play mommy and daddy and they want to play, I'm not talking about the new people, I'm talking about your old people in the third parties. If they want to play all of these parental games, it's called dramatic play. As a preschool teacher, it's something that we encourage, right? What you'll notice is that people will play out what's going on in their homes. These kids will be playing out whatever toxicity or whatever beautiful stuff is happening, whether there's carrot cutting, getting ready for dinner, or if someone's accusing someone of cheating. I've heard it all in dramatic play. Let them be sunned by the universe. Don't let them waste another one of your beautiful, magnanimous, energetic, vibrant, abundant days. Stay moisturized, my friends. Stay glowing. But know this always, there is a deep knowing. There is someone out there for you who's not going to put you in a party of 2 to 3. They're going to say, it's just you and me. And they're going to choose quickly and wisely. There is but a window, but a short opportunity. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. An opportunity with an earth angel comes once in a lifetime. All right, guys, so good to share energy with you. Come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.